Here is every new feature coming to the Apple Watch Series 10. Before getting too deep, make sure you subscribe to the channel with the notifications turned on so you don't miss my latest coverage. So visually, one of the most substantial changes is the colors. Apple went from 8 variations down to 6, ditching the more colorful options. Previously, we had pink, midnight, starlight, silver, and product red that all had this matte satin finish in the aluminum, and then graphite, silver, and gold were available in the polished stainless steel. Nearly all of those colorways are gone with Series 10. The silver aluminum is the only color that remains. As replacements for the others, silver is joined by rose gold and jet black in aluminum, plus 3 finishes of titanium. I think quite a few people will be excited by the glossy jet black. People have been literally asking for a real black for years from Apple, and we finally have it back. There has been some initial concern on how that glossy finish will hold up, but if they use a similar DLC to the black stainless steel models, it'll do just fine. As you can see here, my black stainless steel has held up over years. Then we have 3 titanium finishes that have taken over for the stainless steel this year. Apple says they are 20% lighter than the stainless steel and ultra durable. The larger size model dropped from 51 grams to around 41 grams. The colors are natural, gold, and slate. There is no pure silver here unless you choose the Hermes version, which fetches over $1,000. Sound off down below in the comments to let me know which is your favorite of all of these new colors. Screen size here is a bit confusing. They're billed as 46 and 42 millimeter sizes, up from 45 and 41. But they're larger than the Apple Watch Ultra, which has a 49-inch screen. The reason why is that Apple opted for a wider display with a different aspect ratio. On the new 46 millimeter face, it measures in at 416 by 496 pixels wide, while the Ultra 2 is 410 by 502. The Ultra 2 has 1185 square millimeters of display area compared to the larger Series 10 at 1220 square millimeters of display area. The display is using a new OLED panel that improves viewing angles, yielding 40% better brightness when glanced at from the side. Apple has continuously been improving the display tech year over year, such as the size, the brightness, minimum brightness, peak outdoor brightness, and now the viewing angle. Going from an older model, these will very much add up. They're iterative year over year, but a lot of people don't upgrade their Apple Watch year over year, so it kind of helps when these stack together to be just a better display. The bezels here do look larger, but that's because the top INX glass extends further down the sides. In person, I think it's a better look. This wide-angle OLED is also more power efficient, so Apple was able to increase the refresh rate for always-on mode. That means when it's just down at your side, resting on a table, it's able to refresh once a second compared to once a minute. You'll see the second hand moving in real time versus hiding until you lift your wrist again. I'm excited about this. Again, this is really beneficial with an improved brightness when viewed from the side. So just sitting here, I could see my watch better and see the second hand moving. It still uses that INX glass for the aluminum version, and there's still sapphire crystal for the higher end version, which is now titanium. Real quick, while I've got you here, I want to thank our sponsor for this video, Vision Flow, and its new TalkIt app that has just recently launched on Apple Vision Pro. The app has these incredibly cool 3D cities that you can drop into as you progress your way through the challenges laid out in the app. I love watching the cars drive down the road. But while cool, that's not the point of the app. It puts you into real-world situations where you can practice your conversations and learning English. It could be inquiring about a new job, and it coaches you about what questions you should ask as you converse with an AI-powered avatar. You're immersed into a digital world rather than clicking boxes on a screen. You speak in natural language, and TalkIt will respond to you, and each response is graded based on how well you did. After you complete each lesson, you get an overall score and can move on to the next one. So far, there are 3 scenarios in the app, with more sure to be added. It can help preparing for travel, practicing for interviews, and even simulating medical emergencies. I love seeing new ways to use these new technologies that are being used for good, such as improving learning and comprehension. If you've got a Vision Pro, I encourage you to check it out. There's a link for it in the description. A final note on the design. This new model is much thinner than before. It's 6.7 millimeters from the back to the front, which is about 10% thinner than the Series 9, and it has a new antenna-laden metal back. Not that it particularly matters to us as users, but this required Apple to shrink most of the internal components further, like the digital crown, the speaker, and the SIP. Speaking of the SIP, Apple is using the new S10 here. There is no Apple Intelligence on the Apple Watch yet, despite how many times Apple said the word intelligence during this portion of the introduction, but it has plenty of machine learning tasks that it carries out. So the S10 has an updated 4-core neural engine to help with these, such as fall detection, automatic workout starting, double tap, and more. Apple otherwise didn't mention improvements to speed here with the S10, so we can assume performance will match the Series 9 and Ultra 2, and it still has the same 64 gigs of internal storage. Going along with machine learning, Apple used ML in its new feature, sleep apnea detection. If you wear your watch while you sleep, it can use its litany of sensors to detect possible sleep apnea. You'll get an alert and a full report that can be shared with your doctor for possible further action. This won't necessarily be available right at launch, as they're still awaiting FDA and other regulatory approvals, which they say is expected later in September. It'll be coming to over 150 countries, including Japan, US, and Europe. Just a note, this will be coming to the Ultra 2 and the Series 9 if you happen to have either of those models. On the fitness front, the Series 10 has several improvements for water sports. It's got the depth gauge and water temperature sensors similar to the Ultra 2. The Ultra is still better for water, but I'll go in depth, get it? You guys get it, on that in another video that I will link here. The Depth app will automatically open when you get in the water to tell you how far down you are and how warm the water is. It's useful for swimming or snorkeling, as is the new snorkeling app from Oceanic. There's a Tides app too, though it's coming to prior versions of the Apple Watch with watchOS 11. Battery life is still the same, with Apple quoting all-day longevity. That translates to the fact that it will still need charged every day. The good news is Apple has increased the charging speed. And no, you won't need to buy a new charger to experience it like with the 25-watt MagSafe charging on the iPhone 16. If you want to learn more about that and how that all works, video linked here. Apple pulled this off thanks to that new metal back. It allowed it for more room for a larger charging coil. 30 minutes of charging will get you 80% of your battery life back. It used to take 45 minutes for that. I do wear mine for sleep tracking, and I found that placing on the charger when I hop into the shower or get ready for bed usually does just enough for me. I'd have preferred longer battery life, for real, because the Ultra still has twice that of the Series 10. But I can save that whole diatribe for the honest review in about a month. On the audio front, Apple's using a neural network to help reduce background noise for better voice isolation when on phone calls. I'm very curious how this does with like kitchen sounds. That's when I seem to be using my watch for phone calls the most. Like I'm in the middle of cooking and there's sizzling pans and water running. And one more thing I'm excited for with audio, you can finally, after all this time, use the built-in speakers as speakers. That's right, you can play back media like music or podcasts through the built-in speakers. I'm not saying people should walk down the street playing music out loud on their watch or that it's going to be super duper loud, but I'd sure love to be able to listen to something when I'm like in the yard or prepping for a video, or other times when I just don't have my phone or earbuds handy. This too comes to older models, including the Ultra 2. The Apple Watch Series 10 is available to order now in aluminum and titanium, starting at $399 for the 42mm and $429 for the 46mm. Be sure you subscribe with those notifications on to stay up to date with the latest Apple news, and I'll catch you in the next video.